Good afternoon. I am Christina Felchlin, Director of Consulting Services with Ledgeview Partners. I would like to welcome you to today's Dynamics CRM 365 User Group webinar. Today, our session is focused on the power users and admins. We want to share with you the top tips every Dynamics 365 CRM admin should know. If you can imagine, there are quite a few tips we could share with you, and we will not be able to get through all of them today. So here are just a few. Today, we are going to focus on auditing, cascading rules, data management, managed and unmanaged solutions, and importing third-party solutions. We will then answer your questions and close out the session with our upcoming webinars. To ensure the best audio quality for all attendees, we have everyone in listen-only mode. If you have a question, please ask it in the question pane of the GoToWebinar control menu. I don't believe we'll have time to answer a lot of questions today, but we'll be sure to follow up offline or include it in an upcoming webinar. Just a reminder that today's webinar is being recorded and will be available on demand by the end of this week. All registered attendees will receive an email with an access link to the recording as well as the presentation slides. Now, to get to our featured topic, I will turn it over to our Dynamics 365 CRM expert, Michael Dodds, support consultant with Ledgeview Partners.
Thank you for that wonderful introduction, Christina. Hello, everyone. I hope you're doing well, and fall has been treating you nicely. Hopefully, the weather hasn't been changing too fast for you. We got a lot of great content to get into. Like Christina said, we're actually splitting this up into 2 sessions for the top tips every admin should know. So let's jump on in. First, we're going to start with auditing. So one of the main reasons why auditing is so important is because auditing really tells you who made changes, what the changes were, and when the changes were made. So it's really, really nice. It's not just from a troubleshooting perspective. It can be simply from, I want to know who's making changes in my system. You know, is it a third-party integration? Is it somebody going in and making these changes? Why are these fields being updated? You can see that information with auditing turned on. So it's a really, really great tool. Now, to start off with, I'm going to show you how to turn on your audit settings and how to edit them. I'm going to go through the steps here on the screen, and then I'm going to go into Dynamics 365 and show you how to turn them on. So to turn them on system-wide, which is where you want to start, you're going to go to the Settings, Audit, and then Global Audit Settings. You're simply going to turn on the audit settings, so start auditing, and then you can also choose some of these these common areas to turn on all the entities within them, turn auditing on for them. If you hover on them, and I'll show you this when we jump into 365, if you hover on them, it'll show you the different entities. Then you can also edit entities that are being audited. So you can turn auditing on an entity level. And this is done in every admin's favorite area, customize the system. So you simply choose an entity. Now, if you've ever worked with me, you know that whenever I have you jump into customize the system, I'm having you click on that little white arrow next to the entity name. This is one of the few times that I'm not going to have you do that. You'll actually click right on the entity name, and I'll show you that as well. And then within the data services section, that's where you can turn on or off auditing. And then you can allow auditing per field. So within the field itself, and this can be accessed either through customize the system, or if you open up the form to edit it, you can actually open the field through the form as well. So there's 2 different ways to get there. And then just right here, this is where you turn on or off auditing. So let's jump on in and I'll show you exactly how to do this. So to start off with, we want to go from our main menu drop down, and we're going to go to settings, and then we're going to go to auditing, which is right here. So then we'll just wait for this to load here, and then right here, global audit settings. So this is where you would start auditing. So you want to make sure that you check mark this box first. You could also set up the audit user access so you know when a user is accessing the system. Then you can enable the following areas. So right here, these are common entities. As you can see here, you know, accounts, contacts, quick campaigns, sales literature. This is what CRM considers common entities. Then you can go further and go to sales entities. And you can look at competitors, invoices, orders, quotes, and then marketing and customer service as well. So you just hover on them, and then you can choose to audit or not audit those sections. When you're setting it up for the first time, these will not be checked, so you can just go in and check those. And we'll just close out of this. And then there's two different ways. You could actually jump right to customize the system from here. You could go entity and field audit settings. That's going to open up, customize the system right away for you and expand the entity section. So that's a really quick way to get there. So let's say we want to turn this on for case. So we're going to go into case. So as you see here, I didn't click on that little white drop down arrow. I just clicked right on the case entity. We're going to stay in the general tab. Scroll down to data services and then auditing. So right here. Then if you want to take it one step further, then you can expand case and go to fields. And you don't have to open up each field to see if it's being audited. You can actually do that right from here. So you can sort. You see, okay, we only have 2 disabled auditing fields right here, and then the rest are enabled. But let's say I wanted to go in and I wanted to turn off title. I don't want to audit title. So I'm going to double click to open it. And then I'm just going to disable auditing. That's all I have to do. Click save and close. And then the cardinal rule for every person that does anything with CRM, you always want to make sure that you publish what you've done. So you want to do publish. Always be careful with publish all customizations, because if anybody else is in the system making updates, and they don't want to publish it out quite yet, if you click publish all customizations, you've then published everybody's. So always keep that in the back of your mind when you're doing items and customize the system. So now that we have this, we're going to jump back to the PowerPoint. Now with auditing, as I said, it's not always just about troubleshooting, but troubleshooting is greatly benefited by auditing. Because if entities and fields are being audited, you can use that audit history, which is right within the record, to determine who's updating the field. Is it a user? Is it a plugin? Is it a workflow? Or could it even be an integration? And it's not going to tell you that exactly. There's going to be some troubleshooting digging that you're going to have to do, but it could tell you if you're making these changes like at the same time, something's probably updating in the system, or depending on who it's showing that made the change, you can determine what's making the updates. This can then lead you to going, okay, I need to adjust the workflow, or I need to adjust this plugin, or I need to rethink how my integration is working with my CRM. Because you're determining what is triggering the update of the field by what changed right before the change you're trying to troubleshoot. So that's always a key piece. You can kind of see, okay, my workflow made this change, but what triggered it? So you can kind of see that trigger of what happened right before that. That's usually going to be like a workflow or even a plugin that's causing that. You can see historical data for all the fields being audited. Now that's basically housed in the audit log summary. So you can, clean up your system data by removing that data log, but if you do, then you lose the history. So you always want to keep some history for the audit log so you can see what's been happening and have history. You can also see trends for the fields that are being updated as well. Audit history, it drastically cuts down on the troubleshooting time because of the information that's displayed. Many times what you're going to run into, you want to reproduce the error after you turn on troubleshooting. That way you can kind of see what's happening. So have the user go through the same steps or do something similar to another record and then follow the audit logs to see what's happening. Now, accidental data loss. I'm going to ask this hypothetical question. Who out there has ever, accidentally deleted information out of the field, or even deleted an entire record out of CRM? I mean, I know many of us in the CRM world have done that. It's a very easy thing to do, and it's accidental, and it can cause a lot of frustration. But with auditing turned on, you can see what was last in there before you remove the data or deleted out the record. This then allows you to protect against data loss. So you can simply go back in, see what was in that field, and reproduce it, change it back to that correct information. So basically in the audit logs, you're going to show the event of delete, and we'll jump into CRM and I'll show you this as well. To show the event of delete, and there's other filtering you can do by, change date. That can also help you get to where you want the information you need to see. You're going to open up that audit record that was deleted. So this is when you're deleting a record. You're going to go this route. And then you can see what all the fields were before you deleted it. All the fields that are being audited, that is. And then you can simply go back in and recreate the record. Now, there is another way to do this, which we're going to touch on next time, and that's actually through XRM Toolbox. And that can, if you do a large amount of bulk deletion and you actually delete a lot of data, you won't have to do this one record by record. There's actually a really great way through XRM Toolbox that we'll cover next time. So if you deleted data within a record, so within a field, you can use Audit History to see the previous value and then manually add that field back in. So let's jump into CRM and I'll show you that real quick. So we're going to close out of here. And we're going to start with if we do the audit summary view. So if we go into audit summary view, and you can simply come in here and filter, use your filter icon, and we're going to check the event. So if we wanted to do delete, and come in here and I can see, okay, so this record was deleted by me, CRM admin. And this one, these are the fields that are being audited. So I can see what the previous information was. And then I could go back and I could recreate that record. So I can come down here and I can look at opportunity. And you can see there's a lot more information in opportunity. Here's the values. So I can simply come back in and I can recreate the record based off of this information. Now, if I want to take a look at a field, so let's say I'm in accounts and I go into A Datum Corporation, and let's say the phone number accidentally got deleted and I do not remember what that phone number was. And so if I go in and I delete this phone number, or I delete the fax number, I save. It's like, oh no, I didn't mean to delete that. I need to get that information. Let me find a way to get that information. I simply go up here. I go to Audit History. And then if, right here, old value. And I just simply can copy and paste that and put it right back in. So it's really that simple. It's real. That's why Audit History is so important to have turned on. Next, we're going to jump into Cascading Rules. That obviously leads us to the question that everybody's thinking, what are cascading rules? They're simply how CRM interacts with its child records when there's a relationship between two entities in CRM. So if you think about it, accounts and contacts. Cascading rules would be if something happens to accounts, what then happens to contacts? So again, the cascading rules is dependent on the cascade action and its associated rules. So what do cascading rules do? What are the different actions that they have? So the different actions are, so when you assign a record, that's the action that can trigger the cascading rule, okay? So assign, when a record changes ownership, either through the assign button or you simply, change that owner field. Share or unshare, when you share a record or you take away sharing of a record. Roll-up view, this is really activities related to custom entities. This is only in Dynamics 365. It's new. And then reparented. This is one of those ones that has the most confusion to it. So reparenting is simply when the associated parent record is changed. So a way to think about this is, with a contact is associated to an account. The contact's still in there, but let's say we decide to change it from Mike's Truck Stop to Christina's Rest Stop. We've changed the parent, so it's been reparented. So what that simply means is I was the owner of Mike's Truck Stop. Christina is the owner of Christina's Rest Stop. Now, Christina in CRM has now had this information, this contact shared with her, and she can access it. It's the same thing with an activity as well. Now, always remember, on create, when you create a record, that's technically a reparenting action as well, because it's the first time you're setting the parent. And then delete is simply, deleting a record. Merge, the parent record is merged with another record. So we have all these actions. Then what do the cascading rules do? So there's a few different items. Cascade all. So this simply means, let's say you change ownership. We change ownership of a record from Christina to Mike. If we have cascade all, that means every child record in that relationship, so account to contact, all contacts of that record will change to being owned by me. Active records, same thing, except it's ignoring inactive records. Inactive records would still be owned by Christina. User owned, so let's say I do a share. Let's say I share one of my records with Christina. Any child records that are owned by me will then have that cascade rule flowed down to them. So basically the change will flow down any child record owned by the same owner of the parent. Cascade none, that simply means nothing's taking place. Now there's different types of cascading rules. So let's think about it. There's a one-to-many relationship. That's what one-to-n means. A common one-to-many relationship is an account to a contact. So if we're looking at this, you can choose how the child records are treated based on a change to the account. So a parent relationship or parent cascading type, you basically cascade the change to the child records when a new owner is assigned, the record is shared, and it's a cascade all rule. So new ownership, record is shared or unshared, it's reparented, it's deleted, or it's merged. There, however, is no cascading when the roll-up view is changed. Then you have configurable cascading. This simply allows you to make adjustments. So cascade parent, it's locked down. It's locked to what it is. Now configurable cascading, you can then change any of the options for those triggers or actions, except for delete, roll-up view, and merge. They are locked to what they're set as. So then you can change all the other actions to cascade all, cascade active records, cascade user owned, or cascade done. You can do any of those. Now, how do you change cascading rules? We're going back to our favorite area, customize the system. You choose an entity, so you should click that little drop-down white arrow next to the entity name, and then there's going to be one-to-n relationship. You can also do n-to-1 because that's simply the reverse of a one-to-n. You open the relationship and then you scroll down. So you choose a relationship, so accounts to contacts, accounts to opportunities, and then you scroll down to the relationship behavior section. And then if this isn't locked down, you could change the type of behavior to configurable cascading. Then this allows you to change these. One interesting note on delete, there is a remove link option. It simply means it's not going to delete the child record. It's just going to remove that link between the parent and the child. So that's one thing to keep in mind. If you ever see a remove link on delete, that's what that means. Next, we're going to jump into data management. First thing I want to talk about with data management, and this is really important, is storage considerations. Now, this always comes with data management. The first thing you think of is, okay, duplicate detection, making sure I don't have, incomplete records or duplicate records or incorrect information. But one thing that can often be overlooked is storage considerations. Managing that usage, especially if you're online, is very, very important because there's a cost. You get a certain amount of data, a certain amount of gigs that you can utilize for data storage within CRM. If it goes over, then you have to pay for more data or more storage, excuse me. So it also impacts performance. System job tables that grow too large, they can cause performance issues. So, again, too much information causes lag time. Some of the biggest offenders of storage usage with Dynamics is system jobs. You want to utilize bulk delete jobs to clear up the system jobs. We're actually going to show you a nice, easy way to set that up on a recurrence that is really, really helpful. And I highly recommend putting that into your organization. A thing to keep in mind with this, system jobs, if you are keeping your process sessions on workflows, which we 100% recommend that you always keep process sessions for workflows for troubleshooting. That's where you start to get a lot of these system jobs. But there's a really easy bulk delete job that can take care of this for you that we'll show you. The other biggest one, and this is one we run into honestly the most often, is file attachments. You can utilize advanced find to clean up those attachments. You can delete only email attachments while leaving the emails in CRM, or there's other alternative file storage options. Now, clearing up system jobs, I'm just going to kind of walk you through this real quick, and then we'll show you in CRM. So you want to navigate to the bulk record deletion. So menu settings, data management, bulk record deletion. We're going to create a new bulk delete job. We're going to click new in the upper left right here, and then click next at the beginning of the wizard. Okay. Then you set your filters. These are the filters that are going to go through this as well, but this is for future reference, kind of the way you want to set your filters. So you want to set your look for the system jobs and then set your filters. Always preview your records because you don't want to accidentally have your filters off and then you delete something that you didn't want to. Then you click next, provide a unique name, then select a time for the job to run. We usually recommend for doing this overnight or during a slow time, a slow usage time, so possibly lunch. Then select the job to run every 30 days. And then you can have the system email you when it's complete. It can email you and someone else. Then click next and click submit. So let's jump into CRM and I'll show you how easy this is. So we're going to go to settings and then data management. So from data management, bulk record deletion, and we're going to click new up top. And then we're just going to click next in our wizard. Now it's going to have us define our search criteria. So we're going to set our look for to system jobs. And now we're setting our filtering. So we want our status reason to equal succeeded, because we really only want to get rid of anything that have succeeded. We don't want it to be a recurring system job. So recurrent start, we want this to not contain data. So recurrence does not contain data. And then we're going to look at the system job type. And we're looking at two different jobs types, workflows and system events. So we're going to scroll down here. We're going to go to S for system event and then workflow. And I'm just double clicking them to move them over. Then I click OK. And then one more, completed on older than 1 month. So older than X months, where that X is 1. And then we simply click preview records. We have our information in here. Now again, that's a low amount because I'm in a test org. We can go back to query or we can simply click next. Then once we go to the next page, we can set this up as a, with a unique name, Mike's monthly system job deletion. Okay, set the time. So at scheduled time, we're going to set this for tonight. We're going to do 1 a.m. So actually, we're going to set this for 10:19 at 1 a.m. because that's already passed. And then run this job every 30 days. You can do 7, 90, 180, 365. And then I could email myself, and then also Christina can be emailed as well. Then I simply click next, and then I would click submit. And that's all you have to do. Now, attachments is a different story. So attachments, emails and notes versus using SharePoint. And the ability to add attachments to notes and emails within CRM, it's a really great item. However, it caused many, many debates. I want to store my attachments in CRM so it's readily available. It's really, really simple to access. But then I also have SharePoint. So should I be putting them in SharePoint? Well, you can actually eliminate this debate completely by using SharePoint integration because it allows you to link those direct records, those documents directly to the record, so you don't have to leave CRM to get them. It's, as I said, it's convenience versus storage. SharePoint integration basically makes it convenient and positive storage. So it's definitely a recommendation to go this way, and also does not adversely affect your CRM storage. Now, if you already have attachments in there and you like to find a way to remove them, you can utilize advanced find. Now remember, this option will delete the note or the email as well as the attachment. So remember, if you're ever doing this, you're also deleting the associated record. So for notes, you set up your look for to notes and then set your file size in bytes. And if it's greater than this many bytes. Email messages, there's one more step. You just do an association to attachments and then do your file size bytes, set the amount. Now, however, what if you wanted to remove the attachments, but you wanted to keep that email in there? You can do this. It's a custom coded solution, definitely a more popular option because you're not losing the email as well. The custom solution is only going to delete that email attachment. It's going to leave the email in Dynamics. It utilizes a workflow that can be run on the records to strip off the attachment and delete it. It can be taken one step further with more code and be scheduled to run on a maintenance schedule based on your policies and needs. So that's another option as well. Last thing we're going to jump into today is solutions, importing third-party solutions. Managed solutions, so there's managed and unmanaged. Those are different type of solutions that are out there. Many people ask, well, what's the difference? A managed solution is really intended to not be edited. So you can modify any customizable solution component of a managed solution or add more solution components. And if it's a customizable solution component, it can be edited through the customized system area. It cannot be edited within the actual managed solution. Now, managed solutions can also be placed on top of other solutions. And if solution components, customization of those solution components is enabled, other managed solutions can then modify them. They cannot be exported from a solution. Now that sounds kind of strange. So how do you get a managed solution? You're exporting it as an unmanaged solution, and then when you import it, you're importing it as a managed solution. They cannot be edited once they're imported. Once they're in, they're in. Deleting the solution also deletes the customizations within it. So basically, you're not just deleting the solution, you're deleting everything within the solution. And then if it's already kind of dug in and taken its hold of your system, there's a risk of losing data because you got to kind of chop off each claw to be able to pull the information out without losing the data. Now, unmanaged solutions, all solutions start as unmanaged. They can be edited after import. It ensures that your data is always part of the default solutions because basically once it's in, it starts as part of the default solution. When you delete the solution, you're just deleting the shell. All that information that you had within the solution still stays in the system. You're just kind of removing that shell. And it's the preferred method when moving updates from dev to production. So best practices with solutions is import solutions from your dev environment as unmanaged. Publish your solution after you've done the import. You want to activate plugins and workflows upon import because if you don't, then anything that you created in dev that you're expecting to now work in production, it won't be turned on. And ensure that your required components for what you're importing are in the system. So when you add information to a solution, it's going to ask you, do you want to add required components? If you say no and don't add them because they're already in production, that's great. But if you don't add them and they're not in production, it's going to fail. Third-party solutions. I'm going to give you some best practices and some warnings. Third-party solutions are great. However, they really do take hold of your system. So if you're importing the solution, import it into your dev environment first. Do a thorough testing. Ensure you know what it's doing to your org. And anything that's negatively affected, make note of it. If you don't have a dev environment, spin up a trial org. Do not put this directly into your production org. It can have a drastic effect. Open it up. Open up that managed solution. See what entities it's affecting. And then take a backup of those entities for your production orgs. That way, if it's affected, you have a backup of what's affected now. Only import solutions from trusted source. If you don't know the source, you don't trust the source, or you don't have somebody as a consultant talking to you to utilize this, you might want to stay away. Understand the solution. and what you imported prior to publishing. So always understand what you're doing before you hit that publish button. Now, some warnings. I told you could really take effect and make some changes to your environment. These solutions, I've seen them make changes. They've deactivated and changed workflows, duplicate detection rules, audit settings. It can turn off auditing, cascading rules. It can make changes there, and it can change system use. It can even make changes to forms, adding fields and adding them to your form, taking items away off your form because it's a new form. I've seen this happen, and this is definitely something that you want to understand before you actually put this into your production environment. If a solution is imported and adversely affects the current configuration of your production environment, it can take hours to remove it out of your system. You have to check dependency of the solution you're removing. You have to remove each connection before the third-party solution could be removed safely. We had a really, really great user question that we had submitted that we've received, and I wanted to touch base on it. So besides using ADFS for authentication for Microsoft Dynamics 365, what are the options of connecting your LDAP to the cloud? Great question. There are other what are called STS, basically token services, which can federate with Active Directory with Office 365. Now, however, you want to make sure that this vendor supports the federation. Okay? Some examples that we've seen that are recommended to use, or not recommended to use, excuse me, examples that we've seen being used are Ping Federate and RSA token services. The last question we got is, can we customize the activity wall or the social pane to display only certain activities? If so, how? Social pane is actually one of those areas within Dynamics that's actually really pretty well locked down. Really, the only customizations that you can make is which tab you default to. So it's got activities, posts, notes, and sometimes one note, depending on how you set it up. You can choose your default tab, the one it opens to. And then you can configure sorting of the activity wall and in which order, descending or ascending.
All right. Thank you, Michael, for preparing the content and sharing it with everyone today. I just wanted to remind everyone of the latest enhancement we made to our website. If you're looking for free training content, please check out our website at ledgeviewpartners.com and click on resources. There you will find all of our on-demand webinars, both user and other, our conference session webinars, ebooks, white papers, and our blogs. We've also included a list of great resources from Microsoft if you're looking for some more literature on Dynamics 365. For our upcoming webinars, join us again next month as we share the remaining top admin tips every Dynamics 365 CRM admin should know. Next month's webinar will be held on Wednesday, November 15th at 1:30 p.m. Central. And if you cannot attend live, please continue to register and we will email you a link to the on-demand recordings and the presentation slides. On behalf of Michael, myself, and all of us at LedgeView, we thank you for taking the time to attend our user group webinar today. Have a great day and we will see you on the next webinar.